Welcome back, basketball fans, to another massive, incredibly deep dive into the world of Gilas Pilipinas and the undeniable, unstoppable rise of our very own towering titan, Kai Sotto. Today, we are unpacking a narrative that has sent absolute shockwaves through the international basketball community, a story that vindicates the believers and completely dismantles the critics. The title of today's exhaustive breakdown says it all. Haters have badness, but Kai Sotto is stronger because of this, and the ultimate proof has just been delivered not by a fan, not by a local analyst, but by the very opponent that has historically been one of our toughest roadblocks on the international stage. Yes, New Zealand has admitted it. The head coach of the New Zealand Tall Blacks has stepped up to the microphone and spoken the absolute, unfiltered truth about Kai Sotto, and in doing so, he has silenced the noise, the doubt, and the relentless negativity that seems to follow generational talents. Let us set the stage for a moment and truly understand the gravity of what we are discussing today. In the Philippines, basketball is not just a sport, it is a religion. It is the rhythmic bouncing of a ball on a makeshift court in the streets of Manila, it is the roar of thousands packed into an arena, and it is the collective heartbeat of over 100 million people whenever the national team, Gilas Pilipinas, steps onto the hardwood. And carrying the weight of those 100 million heartbeats is a young man who has been in the spotlight since he was a teenager. Kai Sotto, standing at a staggering 7 feet and 3 inches, was not just born with extraordinary height. He was born into a cauldron of immense, almost suffocating expectations. From his early days dominating the high school scene with the 8 Neo-Blue Eaglets, to his bold leap to the United States to train with the Skill Factory, to his professional stints in Australia's National Basketball League with the Adelaide 36ers, and now his commanding presence in Japan's highly competitive B.League with the Koshigaya Alphas, Kai has been under a microscope unlike any other athlete in our history. With that intense scrutiny comes the inevitable arrival of the critics. The haters. The doubters who lurk in the comment sections, armed with their keyboards, ready to tear down every missed shot, every defensive lapse, and every minor setback. We call it badness, a toxic manifestation of unrealistic expectations and a failure to understand the grueling, non-linear reality of professional basketball development. They say he is not fast enough. They say he is not aggressive enough. They question his heart, his stamina, and his readiness for the global stage. But what these critics fail to realize, and what this entire broadcast is about to expose, is that this negativity, this relentless barrage of badness, has not broken Kai Sotto. It has forged him. It has made him stronger, more resilient, and more determined to carve out his legacy. And the ultimate validation of his undeniable impact has just echoed from the ranks of our fierce rivals. Just recently, Gilas Pilipinas engaged in an absolute dogfight against the New Zealand Tall Blacks in the FIBA World Cup Asian qualifiers. It was a gritty, grueling, intensely physical battle that ended in a narrow, heartbreaking 69-66 defeat for our boys. But the real story did not end with the final buzzer. The real story emerged in the post-game press conference, straight from the mouth of New Zealand head coach Judd Flavell. Without hesitation, Coach Flavell looked at the media and admitted something that every Kai Sotto believer has known all along. He admitted that the game, the outcome, and the entire dynamic of the matchup would have been completely different if Kai Sotto had been on the floor. Kai was absent from this window, recovering and strengthening his knee, and his absence was the glaring, gaping hole that New Zealand capitalized on. Think about the magnitude of that admission. This is not a Filipino coach protecting his player. This is not a fan hyping up their idol. This is the head coach of a powerhouse basketball nation, a team that prides itself on brutal physicality and elite rebounding, explicitly stating that they breathed a sigh of relief because they did not have to face Kai Sotto. Coach Flavell recalled the last time they faced Gilas with Kai in the lineup, a historic victory for the Philippines where Kai dropped 19 points, grabbed 10 rebounds, and dished out 7 assists. That performance remains the only time Gilas has defeated the Tall Blacks, and the New Zealand camp has not forgotten it. Flavell admitted that Kai is a massive piece of the Philippine puzzle, a walking mismatch who changes the geometry of the court, alters shots, and creates absolute havoc on the boards. This is the truth that shatters the narratives of the haters. The opposition fears him. The opposition respects him. And the opposition knows that a Gilas team with a healthy Kai Sotto is a terrifying force to be reckoned with. This intro is just scratching the surface of the massive revelations we are about to unpack. We are going to break down the exact quotes, the tactical nightmare Kai presents to opposing coaches, the psychological warfare of dealing with online hate, and why this specific admission from New Zealand marks a turning point in how Kai Sotto must be viewed globally. Get ready, because we are diving deep into the stats, the history, and the undeniable truth that Kai Sotto is the anchor of our national pride, and he is only getting stronger. Now, let us transition into the main body of this script, the deep dive analysis. We need to dissect this situation layer by layer, looking at the tactical, physical, and psychological elements that make this admission from New Zealand so monumental. To truly understand why the haters have it all wrong, and why Kai Sotto is evolving into a force of nature, we have to look at the exact mechanics of the game of basketball, specifically at the FIBA level, and how a 7'3" behemoth completely rewrites the rules of engagement. Let us start with a tactical breakdown of that recent 69-66 loss to New Zealand. Basketball, at its core, is a game of possessions. Every rebound you secure is an extra opportunity to score, and every offensive rebound you surrender is a dagger to your team's momentum. New Zealand has historically been one of the best rebounding teams in the Asia-Pacific region. They are known for their rugged, physical style of play, crashing the boards with reckless abandon. In this recent matchup, even without Kai, Gilas put up an incredible fight. Players like June Mar Fajardo, A.J. Edu, and the rest of the frontline battled fiercely. But Coach Flavell noted that his team managed to secure 15 offensive rebounds. 15 second-chance opportunities in a game decided by just 3 points. Now, inject Kai Sotto into that exact scenario. When Kai is on the floor, he does not just add height, he adds incredible length and wingspan. He operates as a human eclipse in the paint. When a shot goes up, opposing big men cannot simply focus on boxing out. They have to account for a player who can reach over them without even leaving the floor. Coach Flavell specifically said, and I quote, "I remember Kai Sotto like he's a handful on the rebounds. He's very mobile, and obviously being over 7 feet, he's going to be giving them another dynamic to play, so he does absolutely help." This is a crucial piece of analysis from an elite basketball mind. Flavell highlights Kai's mobility. The haters love to push the narrative that Kai is slow, that he is lumbering, that he cannot keep up with the modern pace-and-space style of basketball. But the coach who actually has to game plan against him sees a highly mobile 7-footer. Kai can hedge on pick-and-rolls, he can recover to the paint, and he can run the floor in transition. This unique combination of sheer size and fluid movement is what makes him a matchup nightmare. Furthermore, let us talk about the concept of verticality and rim protection. In FIBA basketball, there is no defensive 3-second violation. A big man can anchor himself in the paint and dare guards to drive into his airspace. When Kai Sotto is patrolling the paint, the entire offensive strategy of the opposing team has to change. Guards who typically rely on floaters and layups are forced to kick the ball out or take low-percentage, heavily contested mid-range jumpers. Even if Kai does not block the shot, and he blocks plenty of them, he alters dozens of attempts simply by existing in the restricted area. This is the invisible impact that does not always show up on the stat sheet, the impact that the casual haters miss entirely. They look at a box score, and if Kai does not have 20 points and 15 rebounds, they call it a failure. But coaches like Judd Flavell look at the tape. They see the disrupted passing lanes, the forced kickouts, and the fear in the eyes of their guards when they drive the lane. They see the immense gravity Kai possesses on both ends of the floor. Let us rewind the tape to that historic victory against New Zealand in November 2024, the game that is clearly burned into Coach Flavell's memory. Kai Sotto completely took over. 19 points, 10 rebounds, 7 assists, and a staggering efficiency rating of 32. 7 assists from a center. This is another dimension of his game that completely shatters the criticisms. Kai is not just a traditional back-to-the-basket big man. He has the vision and the passing ability of a point forward. He can operate from the high post, find cutters diving to the basket, and initiate the offense. This makes Gilas Pilipinas incredibly difficult to defend. You cannot simply double-team him in the post because he will instantly find the open shooter. You cannot leave him single-covered because he has the soft touch and the footwork to score over anyone. That game was a masterclass, and it proved that when Kai is fully integrated into the system and playing with confidence, he is easily one of the most dominant players in the entire Asian continent. This brings us to the psychology of the haters and the concept of badness. Why is there so much vitriol directed at a young man who is carrying the hopes of a nation? It stems from a profound misunderstanding of player development, especially for players over 7 feet tall. Big men take longer to develop. Their bodies require more time to coordinate, to build functional strength, and to adapt to the brutal physicality of professional men's basketball. When Kai first entered the professional ranks with the Adelaide 36 Airs in the NBL, he was a teenager playing against grown, battle-tested men in one of the most physical leagues in the world. He took his lumps. He had games where he was outmuscled. And the haters pounced. They called him a bust. They said he should come home. But what did Kai do? He put his head down, hit the weight room, and continued to grind. He took the badness, the negativity, and used it as fuel. Look at his trajectory since then. He transitioned to the Japanese B.League, a league known for its lightning-fast pace and high IQ basketball. With the Hiroshima Dragonflies and now the Koshigaya Alphas, Kai has shown tremendous growth. He has had games where he completely dominates, dropping 26 points, 28 points, grabbing double-digit rebounds consistently, and joining the prestigious 1,000-point club in the B.League. This does not happen by accident. This happens through relentless, unseen hours in the gym. It happens through studying film, refining his shooting mechanics, and bulking up his frame. He is currently averaging close to a double-double in one of Asia's premier leagues. The very fact that he opted to rest his knee during this recent FIBA window rather than force himself to play injured shows a maturity and a long-term understanding of his body and his career. He is not playing for the approval of the comment section. He is playing for longevity, for championships, and for the ultimate goal of taking Gilas Pilipinas to unprecedented heights on the world stage. And it is not just New Zealand taking notice. Recently, the head coach of the Taoyuan Pauian Pilots in the East Asia Super League, Jurgi Caminos, had incredibly high praise for Kai, calling him different and the most special Filipino he has seen over the past year. Coach Caminos emphasized Kai's size and skills, noting that if he remains healthy, his potential is absolutely massive. This is a recurring theme among basketball professionals. From his early days at the Skill Factory, where Coach Rob Johnson praised his elite work ethic, labeling him a gym rat with an off-the-charts basketball IQ, to the international coaches scheming against him today, the consensus from the people who actually understand the game is unanimous. Kai Sotto is a generational talent. The gap between how the internet trolls view him and how elite basketball minds view him is staggering. The haters focus on the stumbles because they demand perfection from a player who is still, in basketball terms, incredibly young. But development is a marathon, not a sprint. Every time he gets bumped off his spot in the post, he learns. Every time a faster guard attacks his feet, he adjusts his defensive angles. He is absorbing information and evolving in real time. The fact that the New Zealand coach explicitly stated that they survived the game because Kai was absent is the loudest microphone drop imaginable against the critics. It proves that his mere presence dictates the terms of engagement. It proves that the badness thrown his way is entirely baseless, built on impatience and a lack of basketball comprehension. Kai Sotto is stronger because of this adversity. He has developed a mental armor that allows him to block out the noise and focus entirely on his craft. When we look ahead to the future, to the next window in July and beyond, the implications are massive. Gilas Pilipinas is building a formidable squad. You have the veteran leadership and massive presence of June Mar Fajardo, the defensive tenacity of A.J. Edu, the perimeter firepower of our guards, and the unmatched ceiling of Kai Sotto. When this team is fully healthy and clicking, the rest of the world needs to be put on notice. Coach Flavell said it himself, "Next time, we're going to see the Philippines in July, so we know that it's going to be another big challenge." That is not just coach speak, that is a genuine acknowledgement of a looming threat. The Tall Blacks know that they escaped this time. They know that when the July window opens, and a fully healthy, highly motivated, and deeply experienced Kai Sotto steps onto the floor, the paint will be closed for business. This deep dive is essential because it reclaims the narrative. We cannot allow the loudest, most negative voices to dictate the story of our greatest basketball prospect. We have to rely on the facts, on the statistics, and on the testimonies of the professionals who face him on the court. The admission from New Zealand is a watershed moment. It strips away the bias and leaves only the undeniable truth. Kai Sotto is a game changer. His journey has been fraught with pressure, but he has navigated it with grace, resilience, and a quiet determination that is finally bearing undeniable fruit. The haters can keep holding on to their badness, but Kai will keep grabbing rebounds, blocking shots, and forcing international coaches to lose sleep over how to stop him. As we bring this incredibly extensive deep dive to a close, I want to leave you with a profound sense of perspective. We have spent this time thoroughly dismantling the narratives of the critics, utilizing the exact words of the New Zealand national coach to prove, beyond a shadow of a doubt, the immense value and power of Kai Sotto. This is not just a story about a basketball player. It is a story about resilience in the face of relentless public scrutiny. It is a testament to what happens when you ignore the noise, trust your work ethic, and let your game do the talking on the international stage. The title holds absolute truth. Haters have badness. They operate from a place of impatience, negativity, and a fundamental misunderstanding of what it takes to cultivate greatness. But Kai Sotto is stronger because of this. He has taken every ounce of doubt, every unfair critique, and every heavy expectation, and he has forged it into a formidable mental toughness. He is no longer just a skinny kid with big dreams. He is a seasoned professional, an international nightmare for opposing coaches, and the undeniable anchor of Gilas Pilipinas. When a team as physically dominant and successful as the New Zealand Tall Blacks openly admits that they breathed easier because you were not on the floor, you have officially arrived. You have transcended the criticism and entered the realm of true respect. To all the fans who have stood by him, who understand the process, and who continue to support the national team through the highs and the lows, this vindication is for you as well. Keep cheering, keep believing, and keep drowning out the badness with unwavering support. The journey of Kai Sotto is far from over. In fact, he is just entering his prime, and the world is only just beginning to see the full extent of his capabilities. When July comes, and the national team reunites, expect fireworks. Expect a dominant force in the paint, and expect the continued rise of our towering hero. Thank you for joining me on this massive breakdown. Stay passionate, stay informed, and as always, Laban Pilipinas. We will see you in the next one.